My personal opinion is that I don't think data is going to tell us what we need right now. But what we can do is look at the past and go, what happened after 2008? Like everything changed. What's your dream job? And then look for the job that you have 5 years before that job.
Hi, Helen. Thanks a lot for coming on my
Hi.
channel, and thanks a lot for giving your valuable time today. Today will be going to be an amazing podcast because I know Helen a long back, like it's been like almost a decade. Actually, just to inform everyone and just to share here, the irony is that she was my first recruiter. I applied to a company, and one day suddenly I got a call, and it was Helen, and she was like, "Hey, you applied for this company. Do you want to interview this?" And fortunately, I got the offer. So she was my official first recruiter who hired me in Singapore after my master's. So I am so happy to do this podcast today. But
Me
before we
too.
deep dive, yeah, but before we deep dive, would love to know a little bit more about your background, if you would like to share it with the audience, and that way the audience will know a little bit more about you as well.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Helen Buchan. And essentially, I run a company called UGP. We're a recruitment consultancy across ad tech, martech, SaaS agencies, etc., etc. But I actually started in ad sales, so I kind of fell into advertising. I went to university and I wanted to be a writer. And then I realized that writers don't get paid very much. So I took the first job in a magazine where I could live off the money. That was selling classified advertising, like in the old days with a phone and a big, we called it the yellow pages. And so, and then I just started in advertising ever since that moment, really, and ad sales. So I worked there, and then I worked at News Corp for quite a long time in both the UK and then Australia. And then in Australia, I started at a mobile ad tech company. And then after that, I decided that I wanted to move to Singapore. And then classic, I was recruited by my recruiter and started my recruitment journey. So I've worked in agency and also in-house where I met you. I worked in-house at Omnicom Media Group for about 4 or 5 years. And then after that, I just decided to leave and set up on my own. I enjoyed working at consultancy too much. I miss the buzz. I'm a salesperson at heart. So I set up UGP, which is short for Uncommonly Good People. And now here we are, 2 years later.
Awesome. No, thanks a lot, Helen, for sharing about your journey, your background, like coming in from agency background and then now starting your own recruitment agency. This is amazing. And like your journey is going to inspire so many, like especially women out there to kind of come up. And also today we have an amazing, amazing recruiter working with us, someone who has so much recruitment background. So we would love to start with like being a recruiter myself, like I changed a career, but obviously my experience is much less as compared to yours. We would love to start and ask you that as a job seeker, what is the most important thing you see in the profile when you're actually sourcing or when you're actually recruiting a candidate for the role you are like you are the recruiter for? So if you can share the most important thing that you see in the profile of a candidate.
Yeah. So like, I suppose we've got two different types of profiles. You've got like your LinkedIn profile and your CV. Like these are the two things that a recruiter is going to see straight away. I think in a LinkedIn profile, look, it depends on the job. It really does depend on the job. But overall, it's going to be, I think for me, is hygiene. So like, does your profile look good? If it doesn't look good, if it looks messy, if the descriptions are like off, if you've described a job from 3 years ago loads, but not your most recent job, if you're missing a cover picture, that for me is a major, I suppose, turn off. Because if you are looking for a job, you have to put the effort in. It's a bit like going on a date. It's a first impression. So it really is like hygiene, making it look good. And there's loads of different levels to that.
Got it. That's great. No, I agree. Like you did briefly mention about some things turning you off. Do you want to kind of like want to share a little bit more about like when you see a resume, and being a recruiter myself, like within few seconds
Mm-hmm.
we make a decision of passing it to the next
Yeah.
step or passing it to the rejection pile. So
Yeah.
when you actually move the candidate to the rejection pile and things turning you up, what are the like major concerns as a recruiter, like we would like to recommend to them to not actually do it, which kind of turn off the recruiters like us?
Oh my gosh, the major thing is someone really referring to themselves as like a massive game changer. Like they're like, the most incredible, but like, I am the voice of my generation. If I see a byline or something like that, I'm just like,
Yeah.
are any of us really? Or are we just trying to make it work? So I think that for me frustrates me, but it's again because of this lack of being succinct. Like you have seconds to make an impression, like seconds.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Nikita, but the first things I see are picture, name, company you're at, what you're doing at your job right now. And if you can't pick up all of those facts in like 5 seconds, your likelihood to be moved to the rejected pile is so much higher. And I think that goes the same for your CV as well. Like if I can't look at your CV and work out what you do within like 4 seconds, then it's probably going to move along. You need to be really upfront about like, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is why I'm really good at it.
Got it. No, I mean, today I'm like loving this conversation because it's like two recruiters talking about it and sharing so much information. So, all the viewers who are actually hearing us, please feel free to like, comment, and reshare because it's going to really, really help you as you're going to kind of listen to the whole podcast. Because we don't have one recruiter today, we have two recruiters who are sharing amazing insights and how they actually see the profile and what can actually get you through the to the door, at least to the next step. So coming back to the part of, you did briefly mention about the profile, like specifically LinkedIn profile. So my question is like, majority of the times, even when I was like a recruiter, when I am kind of sourcing the candidates and I'm reaching out to candidates, 99%, like I'm just quoting this number, maybe even it's more, but 99% candidates' LinkedIn profiles are like just empty. They don't even add their titles properly, they don't even add anything. Like I mean, like you mentioned about the profile photo specifically. So a lot of people add selfies, like something playing or something moving in their background. So I'm just amazed. But what is your suggestion and your insight on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's first impressions. Like one time I had a job application and the LinkedIn picture was a guy doing a selfie of himself in the supermarket, but not only in the supermarket, but like in the feminine hygiene aisle. But like this happens more than we think. Like, I'm like, that guy, it was just like not for the best. Like it was a lot. But it was but I think like it's laziness, isn't it? Really is. You've got to think about like your LinkedIn profile as like a first round interview, and anything that you send over is a first round interview. Like you're being screened, so you need to, you don't have to like look amazing or anything, but you need to be professional. You need you need your bio to say like what you need it to say, and especially obviously I know that you work across wider. You work across a whole spectrum of recruitment, but for me, I work in recruitment across advertising and marketing, and you are marketing yourself. Anyone who's ever had exposure to any type of advertising or marketing should understand that, first impressions are huge. So I think it is so important to make sure, like I said, like that basic LinkedIn hygiene is there. And also as well, I think the key thing that I always say is like, if we're reading any kind of like long form content online, we're always looking for patterns. Do you know what I mean? When we're scrolling Instagram, we're looking for a pattern. We're looking for something that's going to make us kind of jump out. And we're looking for information, specific information. And I think, I always say the best thing I think you can do on your LinkedIn profile and in your jobs is really like create a story. So that as people scroll down, they know what they're going to find. So especially if you're a salesperson, being like, 3 bullet points being like, I sold this, I created this amount of revenue, this is how I went over and above. And you're like, okay. And then you can go on to the next job. And every time you're like creating this, the reader's getting more and more buy-in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So by the time you finish the profile, you're like, this person's great. Perfect. I know exactly what they do. I can turn to the hiring manager as well, because we're not the hiring managers. And sometimes we're hiring for jobs that we understand, but we don't do day to day. Otherwise, we would do that job. We need to be able to succinctly say, this is why this person fits that brief.
No, thanks. I think that's going to kind of like really, really emphasize on the part that both resume and LinkedIn goes hand in hand, and LinkedIn profile is equally important. So if you guys are really not tapping in completing your LinkedIn profile, please, after going through this video, go and complete your LinkedIn profile, because it's as equally important as working on your resume. So thanks, Helen, for kind of adding that point, because that is like one of the very important things when you are a job seeker. I think the other thing which obviously a lot of job seekers ask me on day-to-day basis is like how to reach out to a recruiter. Like, what are the things which kind of stand out? Like, when I'm pretty sure you get like a lot of candidates, job seekers messages from day and night. Like, I mean, my inbox is flooded with messages, and everyone is looking for a job. So in that, and especially in the current market when so many like layoffs are happening, a recession is there. So what is like something which stands out to you? Like, why do you reply to someone and why do you ignore someone? So what is something like how a candidate should actually reach out to a recruiter?
Yeah, I think it goes both ways as well. Like this same advice is the same for recruiters reaching out. It's like an in-mail is like a proposal of service, regardless of which way it goes. So if I'm in-mailing a candidate or a candidate's in-mailing me, you have to be, again, succinct about what you want. What you want and what you need and what you can offer. So, for example, if you're a candidate and you're reaching out, I mean, for me, I think it differs for different recruiters. For me, I want to speak to someone that I want to speak to. You know, I don't want to speak to someone who's rude or like super informal, who is like, hi, Helen, I offer this. Please contact me for this. I'm just like, well, you don't sound like you'll like be that cool, interesting to speak to. You know, so I think it's approaching people with a real personable tone and understanding that a recruiter, even though sometimes people might feel it's not your worst enemy, they're not the barrier to you getting the job. They want the candidate to get the job. Like, believe you me, like if you're an in-house recruiter, all you want is for all your candidates to get all their jobs, because that means you can go home and relax. So they're not, like, recruiters aren't this like huge barrier to entry, but what they are is like they're the guard, they're the safeguard of the company. They're like taking on this information so that, again, they can funnel and channel the appropriate information to the hiring managers to save their time. So with that in mind, you know, how again would you approach this person? Like, if you were on a date, you'd be like, hi, I mean, that's a bit too much, but you know, it's just like, hi, I'm so-and-so. I saw your profile and that you hire for these jobs. I would love to speak to you, but understand that maybe now might be the right time. But if it is the right time, I am A, B, C. It's like, I am this person. I'm available at this amount of notice. And I would really like a job in this certain thing. Because, again, as a recruiter, the first thing we're going to do with a candidate is screen you. And as an external recruiter, you know, obviously you have worked in-house, but as an external recruiter, what the information we want to get from them is, what do you really want to do? Because I'm not just going to send you some jobs that are just going to like get you bored or like, you know, are really similar to what you do now. I'm like, I need to know what's going to get you excited so that I can give you that information. So yeah, it's really like intro, what you're looking for, why you're looking for it, and, you know, at what notice, etc., why you might be qualified for it. Just key information in like succinct bullet points. Absolutely.
No, this was amazing advice. I mean, definitely, as Helen said, feel free to at least spend few minutes or few seconds on recruiter's profile or hiring manager's profile before sending them a message. Because as I said, getting messages like, "Hi Nikita, hi Helen, just get me a job" is not going to help you get a job or even a referral from us. So make sure you're
Yeah.
doing your own research, because we are there to help you. We are obviously recruiters. Our job is to get you a job. But on the same hand, if you're not doing your own research, if you're not even taking out time, how can you expect us to take out that time and help you
Yeah.
get a job? So make sure you're doing your right job in the right way, and you are getting the right information. As Helen said, you are sharing out the job description link, or maybe the job ID, or even your resume, and checking the roles which we are hiring for, even going through our profile. So I resonate 100%. Helen, thanks for sharing that, because it's going to help people, and people who are going to reach out to Helen after this, seeing through the whole video, please don't forget to add a message which is going to make sense. Don't reach out by just saying, "Hi, Helen." I hope
Yeah.
Helen today are going to get so many messages, but
Yeah.
I hope they are in the right way.
Yeah.
So, yep. So you did mention about starting your own recruitment agency, and now previously you were in-house recruiter, or you were actually working in a company like a big digital marketing agency. So I wanted to know, like, obviously for people who are seeing this video, many people might not even understand what is the difference between a recruitment agency versus a
Mm-hmm.
recruiter working in-house in a company. So if you can share a
Yeah.
little bit about it, and maybe we can clarify what the different roles are.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you've pretty much got a couple of different types of recruiter. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, your first type of recruiter is, to be honest, the OG type of recruiter was someone like me, was someone in a recruitment consultancy that essentially garners a pool of talent and manages that pool of talent, so that when an employer needs someone, they would come to us and say, like, I need to hire. Now, the way that that works is that we would then supply them with candidates, you know,
Yeah.
give them CVs, obviously work with our candidates, or, you know, just headhunt fresh, to supply them the right profiles. And then essentially, just to be like really upfront as well, because a lot of people ask us as well, we get paid on delivery. So, or most recruiters get paid on delivery. So essentially, you will only get paid once that candidate is in the chair, or that's the only point you can invoice, is when that person's in that chair. And then you only really can bank all of that money until that person's been there for like 3 months. So it's always like, recruitment consultancies sometimes might get a bit of a bad rap for being like, oh, we just want to put people in jobs and they're sending me and everything. That's like the opposite of like what any good recruiter wants to do. They want the right candidate in the right company in the right job, because it works both ways. So that's what recruitment consultancies do. They also work on things like contract business. So you might have a contract recruiter, someone who comes and approaches you for like a long-term role. And then you've got obviously your in-house recruiter. So that in-house recruiter essentially works within a business and is that kind of like that front line of defense for the company, essentially, is that first sort of screening for the company. Now, I suppose the main differences between being an in-house recruiter is that you are, you know, you're talking about the same brand. You're a brand evangelist, to be perfectly honest, because all you're doing for 8 hours a day is talking to people about why they should work at your company. So you really have to believe it, and you really have to like love working there, because otherwise, you know, you're kind of just talking about things which, like, you know, you're like, come and work here. You have to really, really love working there. So I think, like, obviously when we spoke and everything like that, I loved working at OMG. It was awesome. So it's easy to bring people in, like, you see careers grow. It's amazing. So an in-house recruiter essentially will screen talent first round, and then be essentially a partner to that candidate throughout the process until placement. And then essentially normally HR takes over at that point. It all depends on the size of the company and everything like that. Even for me as an agency recruiter, I work with a lot of startup businesses, so they don't have an in-house recruiter. They don't have like a HR team. So that's why, like, for example, with us, like, much of the time we take people right up to first day. We're like, do you have your map? Do you know where you're going? La 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 la. So it all depends on the size of the company. But yeah, both roles are they have the same skill set.
Yep.
They're very, very different. Very different.
Thanks for sharing. I think the difference, it's going to really help job seekers specifically
Thanks.
because they do reached out by recruitment agency recruiters as well as in-house. So I think it's going to be
Yeah.
really good for them. I think with the current market, as we briefly discussed previously, with the layoff recession happening, less companies hiring, what as a recruiter is your insight on that? Because job seekers are quite scared, like people who are like just going to graduate soon, or people who are looking to for job change, and people who got laid off, because you are currently like having your own agency, and I'm pretty sure you're associated with companies who are still hiring. So what is your data says versus the data which is coming in the news? Is it like complementary in terms of, yes, what is the news saying, it's true, or are you still like seeing the companies hiring?
Companies are still hiring, but I think the place that I'm going to come from is not from a place of data. It's from a place of like past precedent.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like we said this just before when we were setting up the call. I was like, I'm an old millennial. Like I can't, like I don't know what I'm doing with technology, which obviously I do.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Tell my clients I know what I'm doing. But like this isn't people who are more like I suppose either senior or older in industries. This isn't our first rodeo. Like we were the people in 2008. Well, I was already again older, but graduating and having that fear, like this isn't the first time this has happened. It doesn't make it any easier for anyone else, and I'm not taking away from that. But for example, when I worked at a big company, like News Corp was, you know, the Facebook, there was no such, well, there was Facebook, but they didn't have an advertising division back then. But, you know, we got, every year we got called into a room and got given an envelope, which had 2 jobs we could apply for and our redundancy package. And it was just like, we'd be like, oh, okay, it's July. We're going to get our envelope today. You know, so that fear never goes. And this isn't the first time it's happened. But what happened at the end of that, you know, again, that was 2007, 2008. It was a scary time. But what happened was change. Like this industry that I suppose you are mainly across and I am across did not exist. It did not even exist 15 years ago. Like we didn't even know, we couldn't have even made up. I mean, if you're very clever, you could have. What jobs were going to be available, what products were going to come out. Like, you know, is Instagram going to get as big as we thought it was? You know, TikTok. So what I would say is that this period now is not fun. It's, you know, there's change. It's unpredictable. My personal opinion is that I don't think data is going to tell us what we need right now. But what we can do is look at the past and go, what happened after 2008? Like everything changed. Thousands and thousands, hundreds and millions of jobs were created out of a new industry from a time of change. And that's what I think will happen this time around. So there's always going to be a period of instability. It's nature. It happens. It's recessions. It's how economies work. But what you can be optimistic about is what will come in the future and all of these new industries that are going to be created out of this really like not fun time.
Yeah, I think I have a follow-up question on that. Is like, what is your like suggestion to job seekers in this current market? I mean, where you said that companies are still hiring, whereas job seekers are struggling like right and left to get a job or even interview calls. So what is your suggestion with this scenario for the job seekers?
Of course. I think, again, it depends on your industry. But if I'm to look at my direct industry, it's about upskilling. It's about looking where the jobs are right now. So if you, obviously, that's not going to put food on the table tomorrow. But I would say that, you know, I think everyone says about standing out and like, you know, how do I be a standout candidate? You know, we see LinkedIn posts. I've applied for 1,000 jobs and I only got 2 interviews. As a salesperson by trade, I get that a numbers game is clever. But are you building relationships? No. Are you taking people out for coffee? No. Like if I saw a LinkedIn post and it was like, I've taken 50 recruiters for coffee. Okay, that's going to cost a lot of money in coffee. I've taken 50 recruiters for coffee and I've had no leads. Then, okay, I'd be like, you have reason to be upset. But taking 50 recruiters, you should have learned so much, you know, created a relationship, if not for now, for the future. So my advice is, and I take this as well from my like coach who, you know, she's amazing. I was on the call with her yesterday. In times of turmoil, you have to just stand still and be like, what can I influence now? Who can I influence now? And you can really only do that with direct relationships. The internet like will help you to a certain respect. And it is hard speaking to a recruiter and being like, hi, can I take you for a coffee? Like that is a difficult thing to get. But I think, again, in some ways, the internet makes our job like the internet. See, I am so old, right? Makes the job of looking for a job much easier. But are you building like quality interactions? No. Are you creating meaningful relationships? No. So that's what you need to put the effort into. It's like if you've got your eye on the prize at one company, just be like, hi, Mr. Recruiter. You're probably having a really bad time right now, because I'm telling no one's having it worse than recruiters right now, because they've all been made like, you know, I feel like recruiters are on the end of the computer being like, I can't get you a job because I don't know if I'm going to have a job tomorrow. Sorry, I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about me looking for another job. So it's listening and being like, this is really bad for you. Can I take you for a coffee? And listen and tell you about this as well. And maybe it might be meaningful. Maybe it might not be. It really is like just offering something different than just sending your CV across. And
got it. No, I think this was like really, really valuable. I mean, I have been saying this right and left from last 6 months that stop running after just tech. Just be like, my dream job is this company. If they are not hiring, I'm not going to find. Like, just explore, like you said, like just explore the like different fields, different companies, and they are like, you might be amazed to see that there are so many companies still hiring. But obviously you just have to maybe work a little bit more harder, do more networking, and work on your profile, like what Helen said, because it's really, really important in the current market when there are so many job seekers out there and the competition is more. So everyone is saying the same thing, just focus on it. And I think sooner or later you will find your dream job. You just have to figure out the right way and the right path to do it.
I'm going to say, like, sorry, on the dream job part, it's great for everyone to get their dream job. But, like, do you want your dream job age 29 at Google? I mean, for me, no. Like, don't go looking for your dream job as well. Like I always say to everyone, what's your dream job? And then look for the job that you have 5 years before that job. Every time. Like, how can you take that dream job and take it a step down? You can still find like the remuneration you're looking for, everything like that. Just break it down and be like, what am I going to learn and how am I going to benefit here? Especially if you have been made redundant from what is a dream job, you know, at a company which I suppose was or still is seen as like a pinnacle, you know, like a fan company, is that you are not where you worked or who you worked with. That doesn't define you. So don't let it influence what you look for in a next job.
For sure. So thanks a lot, Helen, for coming on the channel and for sharing these amazing, valuable insights. And as a recruiter, I loved hearing you, and I'm pretty sure all the people who are going to listen to it, they are going to get amazing insights. A lot of tips and tricks being shared in today's video. So feel free to connect with Helen. I'm going to put her LinkedIn link in the description. And if you really, really love the video, please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and please share, because I'm going to continue bringing in amazing speakers like Helen, and I'm going to help you on your job search. But again, thanks a lot, Helen, for coming on the channel and for sharing this advice.
And again, thank you for having me, and Love the work that you're doing.